My name is Isto Mattila. I'm coordinator of AI ARC. I don't know really the way how to say it, but that's the way how we say it. Which means intelligent point of how to manage the data, what we can get in our form Arctic, but however we can do it globally. But let's see, this is very closely linked to the previous presentations. So a little bit myself first, maybe, that you understand why I'm working on this. I'm the Coast Guard Navy captain as well, so I used to work in that type of a vessel, what you can see over there. I was the captain many times, and my vessel was able to go 6 knots in 1 meter ice, so it was very Arctic capable, if I may say so. And now I'm working for the Laurea University as R&D Director, and I like these kind of safety, security related projects. And we applied this one 2 years ago and got funded last year. 7 million project, with many of the partners are sitting in this room as well. And it's kind of an open call, so we innovated a new idea and without commission to tell what to do. So that our idea was to bring the services to the end users wherever they are. So what means services, you will find out very soon. A little bit about our background. These commission projects include, like ARCSAR, lots of different partners, and we collected the partners with lots of end users, but also the service providers. And the service providers are giving us the data, what we can manage. A little bit of background about the situation. This you all know. When the ice is escaping, let's say this way, the traffic will increase a lot. There are already a lot of vessel traffic over there in this area, but we are looking for big change, and that's a climate change. That means that very soon the vessel what I had is able to go directly from Svalbard to the Pacific without going to the narrow straits of Russia or Canadian coastline. So we can go straight to the Pacific from here. You need to have a little bit better vessels what they have today, but it's possible. And here is the estimation about 2050 about the ice coverage in the Arctic. There are two different sides, the left-hand side and the right-hand side. And this picture is showing the kind of estimation of maximum ice or minimum ice. And in the right-hand corner you can see that the blue color is open water, and the white one is about the 1 meter, exactly from my vessel capability. And that means that in both cases, in 2050, you can go straight from over this Arctic area. And then they made a kind of estimation about what is the commercially valuable for the ship owners to use this route. And you can find the red ones and blue ones. And that means that the minimum time is the red one, but the less ice and the less cost about the icebreaker services, because you need those things, means that there are 2 options kind of to pass the Arctic. But what is more important in this case is about the money. If between China and EU in 21, the trade was almost 600 billion euros. And it's estimated that around 20 to 30% of the traffic can be managed by the Arctic conditions. It means 200 billion euros per year, the value of the traffic. So it is change maker. Everything will be totally different in 20 years' time. Other interesting issue for political side, a geopolitical point of view, you are very much aware about what's happening now in the Russia and Ukraine and the politics over there. Same time, there are a lot of other countries who are claiming about different areas about the Arctic, that this belongs to me and this belongs to them, and they are kind of discussing this issue. There's no agreement, but luckily, from our point of view, the best route goes the western route. So it means so that we could be prepared ourselves that yes, traffic will be there. And all this understanding behind, we created a project where we try to build up the awareness picture to all the seafarers, not the coast guards or fisheries or commercial traffic, cruisers, all of the vessels. That means that you need to share the data. And the sharing of data is based on satellite communication, and satellite communication will be reality in Arctic in next year latest. So there are a lot of low orbit satellites communicating in wideband internet data, let's say this way, and you are able to connect online, not only offline, all the time in this area. And that means also that commercial services, different kind of a communication between the vessels can be done as we do in the Mediterranean, no problem. And that means that we need to have some kind of a platform to combine the commercial data and maybe the law enforcement, search and rescue, Coast Guard data. So we made this kind of a semantic picture about this, how it will be done. And this is tested now, our project, and we go to the demonstration phase next year. So these balloons are something which is happening in the background. The red one, Commission is building this kind of a CISE, common information sharing environment between the law enforcement and maritime authorities in Europe, where there are 400 different authorities and thousands of people, of course, and the vessels. And you are able to share the data between different countries, different organizations, without touching the primary systems. That means that my Finnish Coast Guard can share the data with the Norwegian Coast Guard with no effort. Even we have a different systems. And so that means my laptop, where we have a surveillance picture, I can have a Norwegian data over there as well. It's of course up to the agreements. It doesn't come automatically, but the agreements you can do it, and the technological solution is easy. And then we thought that, okay, if the European Coast Guard is doing this type of the approach, why not to do it in the Arctic as well? So we create the idea that we have this Arctic network, which is connected to the European network. So that means they talk to each other, and that means that we can add different elements like legacy systems. That's the main thing first, for the Commission point of view. But the satellite picture means that we can have a satellite providers, any service they want to sell us, let's say this way. The satellite providers, there are plenty, not only European ones, American ones, even Russian ones, and they want to get money for their services, and that means that we have to have a channel to deliver the services around. And how it's will be done, there is in the left high corner is the virtual control room, and that's our like a main product after this background. And we come to that a little bit later. And what is important also to the Arctic or any other conditions, this in situ data provider. So vessels can give this network about their findings and sightings as well. Of course, a little bit text, but if you have this network, what we have in the Baltic Sea or Mediterranean Atlantic, of course it increases the possibility about understanding what's happening at sea. It's not only the weather, it's not only the ice, there are a lot of other issues as well. In Arctic, when you travel around to the Pacific in 20 years' time, you're quite alone over there. The last Coast Guard station is over here. You can see over there the Coast Guard vessel over here. Next one is in Pacific. So it's a long way over there without any help if something happens. That's why the most important thing is that we know who is where and what are the capabilities there. And that means that the cooperation will increase. And that brings us closer to each other in the law enforcement point of view. And there are a lot of other positive issues, but this icebreaker service, in order to enable the traffic, you need kind of 50 icebreakers. You have a fluent kind of travel all the time, and that operator is very expensive, but you need to do it, and then you have this tool to make it. I don't call this semantic architecture, but this just shows that we are able to connect all possible data to the one platform. And what is important is right corner, that we can kind of divide the data according to user. Of course, you understand that the Coast Guard may not be willing to share all the Coast Guard type of the data because they are law enforcement elements, but we need to have also the data which is commercially available, like a satellite data, and then of course the data available for everybody, like a Copernicus data by the European Commission. Okay, there are a lot of different types of the issues what we can do. What is important over here that we manage, we do something with the data. It's not just the data or services, but we will do something with the data. Or let's call it forward. But this is the kind of products what we are able to do. It's not so rocket science, but this is something new anyway to the seafarer in November. And then we go to the live demonstration in May next year, and the final demonstration end of the next year. So this is not anymore kind of a science, it is practice, and we are able to do that. And this is quite valuable for the Coast Guard, because that vessel over there, they don't need to chase a hunt, as Päivi said. Every seafarer, they can, the machine is telling them that let's go to look at that particular one. That helps surveillance very much. And what it means in real practice, we bring the this awareness picture to any device. It's not, you don't need to have a surveillance agreement with some company to buy the very heavy ones. You bring it to your laptop. So we have because the wideband connections, we can have this real surveillance kind of a computer. They are actually in this case in Germany. But you bring it to your laptop and you can have awareness pictures which is normally available Coast Guard only. But now it's available for any seafarer. So it's kind of making this awareness picture much reliable and accessible to everybody. And if you go to see the bridge over here, what this captain here can see, you can see the regional logo picture. Just come to this kind of radars, etc. Tomorrow you see the whole Arctic if you wish. So it is changing because the new studies to be done. And these other countries are participating to the project. Thank you. Any questions? I'll try to answer.